Peter, good to have you here at noise11.com. Been a while. We've had a couple of different incarnations of you over the years. And this time round, we're talking solo, Peter.
Hey, Paul, thanks for having me. And yeah, good to speak again. It's been a little while since we spoke. And yeah, I've been reincarnated a few times, haven't I, really, over the journey. Yeah, we're here for my new album, Silhouettes and Cigarettes, which is being released on Friday, which is the 17th, and got a gig for it on Saturday at the Wesley Ann, the showcase all the tracks and some older songs and everything as well. So really looking forward to that.
Have all the songs on the album been structured so that they can be played live?
We obviously have rehearsed up a band, some good players in the band. There's Paul Boyle on drums, guy I've known since I was a kid, really. Like, we've been in a lot of bands and had a lot of fun over the years together. And then there's Jo George. She's on keyboards. Again, she was in a band with Paul and I called Vertigo for a while, and she's played on a couple of the older songs that we had. And then there's Lisa Mio playing bass, and she's a beautiful singer and bass player. So the four of us take to the stage, and we pretty well recreate what's on the record. When I recorded the record, there's obviously a lot more. There's one guitarist on the stage if you see us at the Wesley Ann on Saturday, but when you record, you might have an acoustic guitar and an electric guitar, and then perhaps even a solo over it. So you're playing more than multiple guitar parts, but you basically strip it back to get it to sounding like the record live, pretty much. And it's not that live's forgiving or whatever, but it's like there's a lot more energy. So you don't have to nitpick about playing every single part that's on the record to get the essence of the song and the energy and things like that across, I think, anyway.
We've had some previews of the album before the album arrived. 4 songs have been released. Let's go back and talk about a few of those and why you released them in a particular order. I think, was Hometown the very first of the singles that came off this?
It depends what part of the world, actually, to be honest. So what we have gone with, our first one was I Got Lucky, I Got You. And so that's gone out everywhere as the first single. And there's been some people helping us work it overseas in America and in the UK, which it's getting a bit of airplay over there, which is good, some of the tracks, which is fantastic. And so in America, there's a bit of airplay happening with Hometown. So they basically, I think overseas it's more, you can release a single, but they really want more of a body of work to work with. So they have the single, or So I Got Lucky, I Got You, or in this case, Hometown as well. And then some of the stations are actually playing Hometown as their preference, which we don't mind. We just like the airplay. So that's whatever they want to play. And the preview of those 4 songs. So they've gone to the UK and America, and honestly, they can play whichever one they want as long as they're playing one. I'm happy. Yeah.
Well, that's right. Crazy and Silhouette, the other 2.
Yeah, that's right. Crazy Love. Now, Crazy Love is going to be released as our second single, per se, on the day of the launch, pretty much, or the day of the release. Sorry, so on Friday. So like here in Oz, we're going to be pushing Crazy Love as our next flagship sort of song to give to radio and everything like that. And we're getting good reports back on it. I mean, people tend to like it. In our camp, we all love the track, so we thought it'd be good to get that one out next, and I guess we'll push that one overseas a bit more too. But that's the preview of those 4, which we're pretty happy with, actually going really well. You
seem to be synonymous with the term power pop. Is that how you describe yourself?
There's a big part of me that is power pop, as in, I love 4 on the floor drum sounds. I love playing electric guitar, and just straight up tracks, and I love good melody. Like, I've always been attracted to good melodic songs in even bands. Like, even I go back to an old band like the Beach Boys that I love. They're just like insanely talented and beautiful songwriters, and their melodies are beautiful. And I think the power pop thing is all about having a good vibe going in the track, some good energy, and then having good melody and hopefully good lyrics to sort of, when people finally get into the lyrical part of the song after they've heard it a few times and they realise what it's about, or if they don't quite get that first because they're attracted to the melody and the catchiness of it, then that's a sign of a good track when the lyrics sort of kick on in as well. But so there's a big part of me that's power pop. There's also a big part of me that's like, I was into Neil Young as a kid as well. I've had such a varied sort of upbringing on tracks, having older brothers and feeding me this and feeding me that. So and Neil Young's not power pop, but I still love writing and playing acoustic based tracks as well that are just more laid back. Yeah.
Who would you consider some of the great power pop bands?
Well, I think people like Matthew Sweet, those sort of people are probably that sort of vibe, I think, where I'd probably get, there's sort of an influence, but more of an influence as in sounds and structures and how they would approach songs. So, people like that, I think, are probably where we're at.
I saw Jellyfish mentioned in your influences along the way.
Yeah, and similar with Jellyfish, that's the same. It's power pop. I mean, I don't really know how else to explain it all, really. It's just it's good energy, and it's good from a producing side of things, like production, as in me being the producer of the record and all of that. It's about you're not stealing ideas, but you're just getting a vibe on how to create and get your message across with that sort of vibe, I think.
There was one of your early bands, Rage. Was that the first band?
Rage. It's funny you say that. I was driving around, not that I think about myself all day at all, but I was thinking today about my first band, and it was, my brother was the lead singer and I was 14, and we had a bass player, drummer, two guitarists. I was one of them, and my brother was the singer, and who's a couple of years older than I am. And we came up with the name Rage, and we did things like, we were a school band, and we played like at lunchtime and all that sort of thing. Like, I guess what guys do now at university and have like lunchtime gigs and things like that. But that's what we were doing. And then we'd hire out a town hall near our area, and on a Saturday night at some point, we'd drop pamphlets out everywhere, and we'd just go and set up and play, and there'd be two people that'd roll up, plus our girlfriends or a couple of friends that we had, and that was it. But it was just good fun. Yeah, and that was Rage, the first band.
Were there any original songs in Rage?
There was a couple. Yeah, I think we had 2 original tracks in there. We did a little recording with those on a reel to reel, and that didn't go anywhere. But that we sort of did it just for ourselves, just to hear it. But yeah, there was a couple of original tracks that we played, and then we just played obviously our favourite bands at the time. We tried to play some Van Halen and things like that. And you can imagine a 14-year-old guitar player playing Van Halen wasn't that great. It wouldn't have sounded anything like Van Halen. I'm sure there's some prodigies around that could be now, but I definitely wasn't like Eddie. But we used to just love doing it and playing it, Status Quo and things like that. It was just all good fun.
The band that had multiple singles, The Wish, and that was quite a successful band in its day. Love Is Alive, Got to Let You Know, Don't Change. Are they songs that you will still be performing with the solo?
The Wish stuff. That was the first sort of taste of, I suppose, what you could call real success, as in, it was a really well-produced album. We were up at Daniel Jones from Savage Garden, up at his place. He was the producer, and we lived there for 3 months, and some of the songs were written up there, actually, even. And it was a great experience. We had Reggie Bowman behind the desk doing engineering, and Darren Middleton from Powderfinger played on one of the tracks. So all of that was, my first sort of real experience with a bit of success. And then the songs, as you say, the ones you've kind of just mentioned, like Got to Let You Know and those tracks, they did quite well on airplay. Like, we were played all around the country on some major rotation on some of the biggest stations at the time, which was fantastic. It was quite weird just driving along. You put your car, turn on the car, and you hear yourself on the radio, which was really quite a bizarre thing when it first happens. And so I experienced all that, and it was a really good experience to go through. To be honest, it was all a good time. But those songs, I've kind of moved on from those songs. With after that band, I was in a band called Vertigo, which I mentioned before, with Paul and Joe, and we were pushing that sort of thing. It was a bit more, what's the word for it? More rocky, a bit rockier, I suppose, but not. It's even hard to explain. It was still like commercial stuff, but we were sort of pushing that after the Wish, and moved on to that sort of a sound, and so, which I still love, that sound of the Radio Vertigo. And that's so the new album and my last EP that I did before this album, I'll be playing some songs from that, and obviously the new album, and then a couple of Radio Vertigo things as well, because they've got a good pub life to them. About they're good vibey tracks, and they're good to play live in pubs.
Getting the album out, we're in a different world these days with streaming. What are the expectations for putting a record out? What do you want to achieve from an album? You want people to be able to hear all the songs on the album, I guess. It's not as simple as it was even back in the Wish days, where you could just walk into a record store and there it was sitting on the shelf. Well,
we actually are going to have some hard copies and things that you'll be able to get up on there's a site called Bandcamp, and you can purchase. It's actually the real thing, the disc and everything. It'll be mailed out to you or whatever. So there's going to be hard copies of the album, but it's on all the digital platforms from Friday, as the first 4 tracks are as well already. So you can basically hear the whole album in so many places now. In a lot of ways, it's more accessible for people to hear in that way, where they just, they've got their Spotify or whatever, which is, it's kind of sad in a way, because we just want to be able to sell records and things like that. But I'm still happy that for the accessibility of people like it that can access it.
But the album out there, Silhouettes and the Cigarettes, and we've got the song Silhouette. So, where's the cigarette come into this?
That particular track was sort of when you're sort of half asleep, well, you're in bed and you're half asleep and you're half awake, and you're being into songwriting, especially if you're in the middle of writing songs, they just go around in your head. Like, they almost become like worms and do your head in. Like, it's, that song's in my head again and again, especially if it's got a little bit of catchiness to it. But so Cigarettes and Silhouette sort of initially sort of come to me in that sort of environment where, I got all those lines, and then I came down to the studio and sat there with the acoustic guitar and just what they call scatting, which is just basically I was singing Lonely Days, Cigarettes, Silhouettes, and just the rest of the lyrics, just pouring lyrics out. And then you go back in and sort of compile it all together and create like a bit of a story, and sort of see what the song's trying to say to you. And then Cigarettes and Silhouettes just sat really nice together as a line, and almost an opening line for the track. And then it just sort of led me into this journey through the track. And that's the I guess the magic of songwriting, in a way, that it's your mind just goes off on its tangents, and as long as you just let yourself into it, things happen. And
so Silhouettes and Cigarettes on a streaming platform near you, and Peter in a venue near you, and hopefully more shows between now and the end of the year. Good to talk to you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Paul. It's been great fun.